Hello, everybody. Can everyone hear me? Is everyone ready? Hi, Susan. Hi, Natalie. Hello, everyone. It's good to see you all. Is everyone having a good Thursday? Wait, Thursday. Is everyone having a good Thursday so far? I like Thursday because it's the day before Friday. Well, yes, I cannot wait for Friday. Oh, and congratulations, Natalie, that your nephew's graduating high school today. That's a really big step. I feel like it was just yesterday I graduated high school, but it's been a few years. But yes, so it's been a little while since I've done a silhouette webinar. I think the last one I did with all of you, I was still recovering from a cold. So I'm glad to be back and not coughing every 2 seconds. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. This is a brand new webinar. This is some content that we haven't really gone over before. I'm going to talk about the Pixscan Mat and what it is and how you can incorporate it into what you guys are doing. Do any of you already have the Pixscan Mat, or is this something that you wanted to check it out before you got it? So it looks like some of you do, some of you are checking it out. I really like it. I enjoy it. I like to do a lot of crafts for personal use outside of, apparel and everything like that. So it works out really well, especially for those of you who do have some crafts you like to do, whether you do print and cut, or let's say you found a design you liked on a piece of paper and you wanted to cut around it and not worry about those nasty scissors. I can never cut straight with scissors. So do any of you do crafts as well, or are you guys mainly making vinyl and rhinestone items? Scrapbooking, yes. I started off scrapbooking. I had a Cricut for a very long time. But the silhouette's been treating me very well. I enjoy it a lot. So I've been using my Pixscan Mat a lot. I know that the new Curio is going to have engraving features, but I bought one of those Amy Choma's Creations engraving tips, and I actually used my Pixscan Mat to engrave little pieces of metal and stuff. So that was pretty fun. I'm glad that the new Curio will be able to do that on its own, but the thing I like about the silhouette is that it can get everything done for your business, but also you can have a lot of fun with it too. So for those of you who aren't familiar with Pixscan, I opened up the silhouette page. The name of that engraving tip is the I'll type it for you. It looks like CHOMAS. Choma's Creations. And so that's it. I think she has a website. She also sells them on Amazon. So I did use that. I think it was like maybe $26 or $28. So it wasn't too bad. And so going back to the Pixscan Mat, it's a special mat by Silhouette. It comes with these. If you look in this picture, it has registration marks around it. And so if you look at these steps, they do show a lot of paper crafting. That's what a lot of people do use it for. So what it is you'll put it on the mat and you make sure these little registration marks and squares are set. And what I do is I take a picture with my phone and upload it to my computer. You can scan it as well. I personally haven't done that, so I can't really tell you how accurate it is. I like to use my phone. I have an iPhone, and so Silhouette works pretty well with iPhone, so I hardly ever have an issue bringing in my photos. And then when you bring it into your Silhouette Studio, it'll read what's on the mat. It'll basically have a photo on here. So you can go and you can select what you need, cut around it. So a lot of people will take pictures that their kids make and they'll cut around it. And so those are kind of like the main things that people use with their Pixscan Mat. Pixscan works very closely with tracing. It uses the trace feature pretty often when you do use it. That's kind of, they're hand in hand. So I'm going to go ahead and open up my Silhouette Studio and show you a couple things. And if you have any questions, feel free to type them in here. Rudy is not in here answering questions today. He went he went and grabbed lunch. I like to do my webinars during lunchtime here because if you look at our videos, we have a lot of men here, and so sometimes during the day it gets kind of rowdy. So while they're all eating, I like to do my webinars and hang out with all of you. So I have my Silhouette Studio open. If you have been in my webinars recently, you will notice that I am using the business edition, but it does have all the same features as a design edition. There are a couple of different ones, but for all purposes that I'm using it for today, it'll be exactly the same as you all. So are all of you familiar with the Silhouette Studio software? Are you already using it, or are you all using Designer Edition or the basic one? Okay, yes. Okay, Designer and Business. Yeah, I have to say I've been using the Business Edition, and I do enjoy it. I think we're going to, I might even start doing a couple webinars on it. We have to talk to Matt and see if that's something we'll start doing. But I've liked it, and hopefully we can explore a little bit, a few more options with it. So since all of you seem familiar with it, I'm going to go ahead and jump up here to this button that if you don't use the Pixscan Mat, you're probably thinking, why is this here? What is this doing? Like, it looks like a skinny floppy disk, And I'm actually old enough that I remember using floppy disks in school. It's some of these kids growing up, they just know what like USB drives are. They don't know what floppy disks are for. I found one the other day. It held like 20 megabytes of storage. Like, how do you carry anything on this? So we have our Silhouette Studio. I have my Pixscan selected. And over here you can see it says Pixscan. It has a little picture of a mat. And what I'm going to do is I already took photos of everything today just to save a little bit of time, and also I don't have a webcam on me, so you're not going to see what I'm doing. So what I did is I'm going to go over to import from file, import Pixscan image from file, and I'm going to go over here, and I already made a folder for all of you. And so I'm going to start with something basic. I'm going to grab this over here. And so now it's reading my image, and it's calibrating it to an iPhone. So it's kind of crazy how it knows what you took it on, but it knows that I'm using my iPhone 6, and so it's loading the image, and it's calibrating it to read these registration marks. So here is a cute little picture of an owl by Caitlin. And so as you can see, it brought in the picture. It basically has it here, but we can work with it. And it's already formatted it. Here's the front arrow. It found where it was on the mat, and it brought it in here. So let's say you have one of these drawings. Let's say you have a customer who their kids love to draw a bunch of pictures, and there's no more room on their fridge. Or maybe they want to take their photos and make a quilt or something along those lines. I know that a lot of people I know here, they love these gifts where it can take something that their child has made or a niece or nephew has made and put it into something a little bit more permanent. So it's not on the fridge and gets dropped on the floor or anything like that. So what we need is to digitize this. And so once we have it in Pixscan, this is very similar to grabbing an image online or, if you didn't need to do any other trace. So I'm going to go up here to our trace window. And just like any other trace, we're going to select our trace area and just grab all of that. And so since it's, just one color, it's a dark one on a light background, I'm going to turn off our high pass filter and see how it's picked up all of that. And the only other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my scale down as low as possible. The lower your scale is, the harder the lines are. And I personally like to have my lines very hard. So if you can see, it got a lot of it. I can bring up my threshold just a little bit more to kind of pull a little bit more of those edges. And if you look, if I bring my scale up, it kind of gets fuzzy. So I bring it down all the way, and it makes it as sharp as I can get it. So, and it looks like I missed part of the design. This is what I get. So bring down my threshold a little bit. It took out that little piece. And so we're ready to trace. So now we have our owl traced. Everything we need is in there. And so now what we can do is, let's say we want to cut this on vinyl, so we don't need to cut the paper. We're going to keep the paper exactly how it is. We're going to go over to our Pixscan Mat, and we're going to go down here to remove Pixscan Image, take it away, and now we have just our design. So I'm going to go over here, select it, and I'll fill it in for you. So now we have a pretty good trace of that design. You know, it looks pretty good. And the good thing is that this was drawn with marker, so these lines are, you know, thick enough that we can cut it with our vinyl. And so, so now we have this digitized. If we want to send it to our cutter, all we have to do is go to our design page settings, and under cutting mat, we're not using the Pixscan anymore. So we would just hit none, and it took the Pixscan away. And so right now it has it in the landscape orientation, so you would have to just change it over to portrait, and then go ahead and turn your image back around. Oops. Bring it over. And then if I'm cutting on vinyl, there's one more thing I have to do. What do I have to do? Yes, mirror. That was a gimme. I just wanted to make sure you were listening still. The thing I love about the Pixscan Mat is I think the concept of it seems very complicated, but it's actually pretty easy. It's pretty fun, and it helps a lot. So I'm just going to go over here and flip horizontally. So now we're all mirrored and we're ready to cut. So that took me, what, 2 minutes? It was a quick way to bring in an image, and we could either, you know, cut it, or you could even cut around it if you wanted to cut the paper. And so now we have our digital file, and we could just save it into our library. So I'm going to do another image for you, one that's a little bit more detailed, because it's pretty simple. So we had, is there a quick way to combine the path on the left here? Yeah, sure. It's just like any other digital file. We'll just go to edit. We'll go to edit points, and just zoom in. And what I'll do is I'll just bring this over here, and then I will just weld it. Or maybe, yeah, I just need to delete this point. Oops. And it should be able to, well, yeah, I hit weld and it has decided it doesn't want to participate today. Do you see? Well, typically there's a quick way to combine the paths on the left ear, but as always in my webinars, they decide not to be typical. So, so that's what, I don't see, Tracy, I don't know. I haven't had this issue lately. I'm not exactly sure why it's happening, because I was actually in Silhouette earlier today messing with this. You could always, if you do continue to have this problem, you can always call our call center at 941-755-1696, and they'd be happy to help you through it. I'm not exactly sure why that isn't working. I know that Silhouette has a lot of updates coming out. I guess one of them is if any of you are still on an old version, like version 2, version 2 is not going to be supported in the Silhouette store if you do use it. So, you know, there's a lot of things coming out. And then, oh, Jamie is so smart. She said make a rectangle and cover both sides and then weld. Oh, you guys are so smart. So what I'll do is I'll go over here and I'll just grab a rectangle. Yeah, close enough. And then we'll grab both of these and weld. There we go. So, I mean, it needs to be smoothed over, but then once you do that, you can do edit points. So, Jamie, thanks for that help. You know, it's one of those days, I guess. Uh, so I'm going to go ahead and jump over, and I'm going to do another Pixscan image for you. So I'm going to go over here and import from file, and I'm going to grab one that's more detailed. Rachel here, she's our photographer, and sometimes you might talk to her in the call center a bit too. She is a very, very good artist, and so she drew me this picture of an owl, and she had a lot of fun this morning because she came in. I said, I need you to draw pictures. So she came in and she drew me this picture of an owl, which is a little bit more detailed. It's pretty cute. So I said, let's see if we can do this in Pixscan. Let's see if we can turn this into a design that we could cut and put on a pillow or a shirt or, you know, whatever it is that we want to do. So now I have our image in here. So you can see it pretty clear. It calibrated correctly and it came in. So just like before, we're going to go over here to trace and select trace area and turn off high pass filter. And look at that. It's pretty clean. It got all of that. So I'm not even going to adjust it. I'm going to hit trace. And so now I have my owl. So you can see it's right here. And what I like about the Pixscan mat is that it reads the size of the mat. So let's say you wanted to make an exact replica of that owl to put on something. This reads the exact specs. You don't have to guess. You don't have to measure it. This is exactly the size of the photo. That's how it will cut out. So you would just go over, and I'll jump back to Pixscan, and I'll remove the image so you can see the owl, and I'll fill it in. So now we have that owl. It filled in pretty nice. You know, all those lines turned up well. You might find some difficulty with some of these smaller spaces. Like if I would go in and clean it up a little bit, take out these really tiny ones because, you know, it wasn't, you know, you're not going to see those when you cut. They're too fine. Linda, I did mirror the last owl because I was going to cut it on HGV. If you are doing basic FDC sign decal, then you're done right here. You don't have to mirror it. This would be, I would mirror it, let's say I had a child who, which I don't have any kids yet, by the way, but let's say I had a child who loved drawing me pictures. Well, there's only so much room for them, but you know, I'm sure that my children are very proud of these pictures that they would have drawn me. So, you know, you could use it to make a quilt, or maybe you have a customer who wants you to make a blanket or a quilt with all their designs. It's a fun way to keep these close to you, and also you don't have to worry about the paper like turning yellow or something like that, and they'll always be there. So we have our owl here, and I have all those lines filled in, and you know, we're basically done. And so, you know, you could keep it this way and make a decal, or you could mirror it and apply it with HDV. So I'm going to show you another thing that you can do with Pixscan. I actually did this a couple weeks ago. I had bought those, if you go to Michael's or Hobby Lobby, the Heidi Swap line, she has those little paper marquee letters. Have you all seen those? Have you seen those marquee letters? I bought a bunch of them when they were half off because I love coupons. But what it is I'll show you over here. Heidi Swap Marquee. So they look like this. These little marquee letters, and you can paint them, you can customize them, and they're a lot of fun. So this is kind of the stuff you can do. I did something just like this actually, where there's glitter cardstock in here, and so what it does is these letters, they come with a little paper insert for a template. And so I wanted to find the easiest way possible to get cardstock cut and put it in there, and it'll look very nice. And so this is kind of where Pixscan can really shine for you. You know, let's say you had a design that someone brought to you that they had a set space somewhere and they needed you to make a design that fit right in there. Or maybe you want to start doing some add-on items for your store, like maybe instead, along with your apparel, you could sell, small things that you've made, to apply on a cup, or, some of these marquee letters. It's up to you. So this is actually the cardstock that I have in there because I keep these letters at work. So the difficulty when you have something white is that it's hard to trace, because white on white is doesn't really have a good contrast. I'm not sure if you knew that, but it doesn't. So when you have something that's white, it's a good idea to put a black background here. I like to use cardstock. I didn't have any on hand today, so this is actually some of our wall vinyl that I trimmed down to do this. So the process to trace something white's a little bit different. We're going to go over to our trace window, and like always, select trace area. And now we have our trace. So what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to turn off my high pass filter, and no, I'm going to keep my high pass filter on. And I'm going to turn my threshold up. Actually, there we go. That's what I was looking for. So I'm going to turn my threshold up a little bit. And so I want everything dark, highlighted in yellow. So this will draw this box around here. But as you can see, I still can see my A very clearly. It works pretty well. So I'm going to bring my scale down a little bit and trace. So now I can go over to my Pixscan and remove this image. And so now you can see I have my A in here, but if I were to fill it in, it would fill in like that, and that's not what you want. So what I'm going to do is I have this selected, and we're just going to release compound path and get rid of this square and this little straggler. And then we'll go ahead and object, make compound path again. And so now we have our letter just the way we want it. So just a couple steps and we got that. So let's say I had a letter, I found a letter that I wanted, and I wanted to actually apply it to a shirt. I wanted to, do an initial, or do, what are those called? A Letterman jacket. So this is exactly the size of my letter that I had. So I could either leave it this way, or maybe I wanted to take this as a guide for something I want to press on a shirt. So the first thing we could do is I could grab this, and this is just a regular object we have now, and I want it to be more sparkly, or I want it to be different. So I'm just going to go ahead and do an offset, and I'm going to bring it up a little bit, mainly because I want, let's see, I want it about there. So we're going to go ahead and apply my offset. And so now we have it. One thing that I want to do is I don't like these little circles. So I'm going to go over here and move this out of the way real quick. And I'm going to grab this object and release compound path. So now I have all these little circles there. What I'm going to do, this is a shortcut I like to do, is I'm just going to hold down shift and grab the outside one and the inside one. And I'm going to move it out of the way, and all these little pieces stay there. I'm going to highlight and delete them. I found that to be much faster than going through each one and selecting them, but it's all a matter of preference, but I like doing that. So now I have my A and my inside part, and there's still two separate objects. You can see two different bounding boxes. So I'm going to go over to my object, and I'm going to make this a compound path again. And compound path basically means it can have inner circles in it. That's how you have this not filled in. Linda, she asked, how do I get the correct measurement dimensions from the picture of the letter? Well, that's where the real benefit of having the Pixscan Mat comes in. The Pixscan Mat, you put your letter right on it, and your Silhouette Studio is going to recognize the mat. And so when it brings in the picture, that is to scale on the mat how large it is. So as long as you keep that trace the same, you don't modify it, you don't increase or decrease it, that is how big it is in real life. So it's almost like scanning it, or it's just bringing it into scale. So that's where it's really helpful. Like, let's say you wanted to start selling like hand and footprints for your customers. I know that some people like to get shirts made with little handprints of their newborn. Well, if you don't have to do anything to, you don't have to worry about scanning it or anything like that. You could just have them bring in a handprint, put it on your Pixscan Mat, trace it, and you've got a quick way to do something that would really mean a lot to your customers. And so it's a great way that you could keep it to scale. Let's say I wanted to work on this A. Well, I did my offset, and I am going to do a Rhinestone Edge. Oops, I selected my inner one. Let me select my offset and do a Rhinestone Edge. So now I have my A to scale, and I could press, I could cut it out on vinyl if I wanted and do a rhinestone outline and kind of add a little bit to it. So that's one of the things that I really enjoyed using at Pixscan, is that I've taken a few things like, funny jokes between friends and myself, and been able to trace it and put it on a shirt to scale. Or if you do get letters, like you could even grab, let's say you got like little wood letters from the craft store that you really liked, you could bring them in your Pixscan, trace it, and put it up on your shirt to scale. So it's a great way to incorporate all these little pieces into doing more almost handmade items. You could sell your customers things that are extremely customizable. And there's one other really great way to use the Pixscan Mat that has to do with scraps. Have any of you used your Pixscan Mat for your scrap vinyl? Okay, a couple of you have. Now, I am going to show you one more trick with the Pixscan Mat that I enjoy doing. This is probably my favorite thing because I don't know about you, but I have a ton of little scrap pieces of vinyl everywhere that I don't want to get rid of, because I think, well, maybe one day I'll be able to use that. Or any of you like that? Maybe I'll use it one day. Yes. Um, So the great thing about the Cameo is that you can bring your rollers in, and you can cut smaller than 12 inches, but you can't cut 3 inches wide, or you can't cut 4 inches wide. So once your vinyl reaches a certain point, you have to start using your mat. And so the mat's great. It has a grid line, but sometimes you have your regularly shaped vinyl, and it starts getting hard to coordinate where to do your design and how to make it fit. I have overcut my vinyl so many times that I was just like, well, I should have just gotten rid of this piece of scrap vinyl because I can't use it. So I'm going to show you one more thing. And so I'm going back to my Pixscan tab, and I'm going to import a file. And so I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to grab my scraps. And I'll use this one. So you'll see I'm bringing an image. So I've got a few pieces of scrap vinyl on here. And these are actual scrap pieces that I have that I was working on a couple days ago. So here we have our image has come in. If you look, like, this piece of vinyl is like choppy right here. This one has a curve in it. And so, if you were to align that on your cutting mat, you could cut it. There's no problem there, but sometimes it gets a little bit tricky making sure you have everything aligned. And so I know a lot of you sometimes will cut out like your business name in little pieces of vinyl, and almost like press it to like the inside or something, almost like making your own little tag. Or let's say you have a sports team, and like Matt, you need to press a bunch of little letters onto gloves or shoes or something along those lines. Well, if you only have to do a few, it just gets it just gets a little tricky doing the whole piece. So this is a great way to maximize your scrap pieces of vinyl, because if you're only cutting little numbers or little names, you know, why not? You know that they're about this size, and so you can cut it on here. So I'm going to go ahead and start typing. I'm going to type Matt's last name. Let's say he's making something for his son. So we're going to type Vassallo. We'll just choose a bold font. So I'll fill it in too. So we can go over here, and of course we're going to mirror it. So we go over here, and then I love using the duplicate tools. I don't know about you. Replicate, duplicate. So I'm just going to hit duplicate below, and then look, I can fit 1, 2, 3. I'm copying and pasting right now. Maybe almost 4. Oops, I was hitting shift. That's not going to move it. And we'll move this over. So look, I can fit 4 Vassallos right in this little tiny piece. And I'll move this down a little bit. And here's another cool tool. I don't know if you used it before, but I'm going to select all of these. And I am going to go to my align tools and space vertically. This space isn't totally even. So within the space between this top one and the bottom one, it'll take all of these and make the spacing even between them. And so I'm going to copy one more. I can probably fit one more here. And I'm holding shift right now. When you hold shift, it rotates it at 45-degree angles. So it looks like it won't fit on here. But if we go over here, now I'm not holding shift, so I can have free reign. Look, I can even fit another name on this little crooked piece. And I could even put a number here if I wanted. So let's do 20. I think his number is 20. Go over to our Acme font. And then I'm going to flip. And let me fill this in for you. So bring this over here. And the little green dot, oops, we'll rotate it. And I can fit a number in there. So look, I just did 5 last names and a number in these little tiny pieces that probably would have been a wash. So, you know, those are ways that you can fill it in. That's what I love doing, is I hate wasting. And I'm sure all of you with your business, you hate wasting material as well. No, I don't think anyone really loves it. I saw a question come in from Shelby. She says that she has a Cameo. Can she use the Pixscan engraver, or does she have to buy a new machine? Shelby, you can use that with your Cameo. The engraver isn't the one that I've been using with my Pixscan Mat isn't directly sold through Silhouette. I know the new Curio will have an engraving feature. If any of you do like card making or crafts, the Curio might be pretty exciting for you, because it is it has a deeper feeding area, which allows you to do the engraving and embossing, and they'll have you know, tips for that, engraving tips for that. I'm not entirely sure if their new engraver tip will fit in the Cameo when it does come out. I personally haven't tried it. But if you do get the one engraver tip that I was talking about earlier in the Pixscan Mat, you can use that with your Cameo. You don't need to get a new machine just to do that. But it definitely isn't, the engraving isn't something that Silhouette supports with the Cameo. So that would be something that will be trial and error. I know not a whole lot of people are doing it. So it definitely is something that you kind of have to see what works best for you and how your machine works. So with all that being said, with our scrap vinyl and some of our other things that we've done with Pixscan, do any of you have any questions, or do you want me to go over anything else? Um, I know that a lot of you are already using Pixscan, and hopefully this was a little bit of a refresher, or maybe I showed you one new thing or even gave you a couple ideas to do for your business. Um, so, um, you know, I always try to find fun things to do with it. I know a lot of you have been asking about the Pixscan mat. Um, and if anything, it helps you with your scraps. And so it was a lot of fun doing it. Um, so what I did for this last one with the HTV, I actually put my HTV on the mat already. So I put my HTV on the mat. I lined it up within the box. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to hit my mic just now. I lined it up within the box that I had, and then I took my photo. And so my HTV is actually still on that mat. I haven't moved it. And so when you go to feed in, once you're done with your design, you can feed in your mat, and it'll feed in with that arrow. You just feed it in the exact same way. And then you can go ahead and cut, and it'll cut on those spots. I would try before you do something. Hi, can you hear me now? I accidentally pulled out my headset. I don't know how I did that. I get so excited about about silhouette, I just pull on cords. My headset has, I'm pretty sure this cord length is like 10 to 12 feet. So it gets caught up in my chair a lot, and I I pulled out my cord. I unplugged myself, so I guess that means I should be getting close to finishing. But so sorry if I repeat myself in this last one, but so I put my vinyl on here, and you feed it in this way. I would definitely recommend, before you do cut vinyl that you have scrap of, because you are trying to save your vinyl, try to do a test cut on it with paper or something, see if it's calibrated. I personally haven't had any problems with my calibration. Um, and sometimes you just have to close your Silhouette Studio and restart it, but definitely make sure that it's calibrated correctly. I try to give myself a little bit of a gutter space, a margin between all of these, just in case it is a little bit off. That way I'm still being able to use my scrap vinyl. Laverne, yes, you cut right on the Pixscan mat. So the Pixscan mat is just like, not just like, but it's close to all the other mats, except it has the registration mark. So you are able to cut on it. You just feed it in, and the picture will help you line up everything that you are trying to do. Beth, have I tried cutting out a printed picture on the Pixscan? Yes, I actually did do that. We printed out, we have been taking staff pictures here at headquarters, and so we're going to be hopefully getting staff pictures up for you guys in the next couple weeks. That way you can kind of put more faces to the names. I know a lot of you will call in and speak with our call center, and you'll see, at the end of it, TRW Sean or TRW Nick or anything like that. But you don't know what they look like. So we're actually going to put these up online. But we did some props for some of the pictures, and so we decided to cut out mustaches, and I used my Pixscan mat to trace them and cut them. And so they turned out pretty nice, and it was a lot easier than cutting with scissors. So it came in useful. I tried to find a purpose for my cameo as much as possible here, which at the Rhinestone World seems like there's a never-ending list of uses for our cameos. But yeah, I really like the Pixscan mat. It definitely can utilize these. If anything, it can utilize these scrap pieces of vinyl, and maybe you could even start, trying to do more personalized things for your customers. Does anyone else have any other questions about the Pixscan mat, or anything they want me to go over again with the software with the Pixscan mat? Laverne, I see your question. Send us an email, info at the Rhinestone World, and we'll be able to help you more with your question. Does anyone, anything else? Well, before I go, I wanted to remind all of you that, have you guys seen that it's Customer Appreciation Month here at the Rhinestone World? So it's Customer Appreciation Month. We have a lot of fun surprises for you all. I want to encourage you to make sure you're following us on Facebook, but also to download our app. A lot of you do have the app because I know you talk about it in here, but download our app. And also, if you have a Twitter account, or if you can't download the app, you should get a Twitter account and follow us, twitter.com/Rhinestone World. Our Twitter handle does not have the in front of it because our name was too long. And also Instagram. We're on Instagram, the Rhinestone World. We're going to be doing a lot of fun things for you guys this month, and there might even be special coupon codes or things for you guys that are only available through one of those. So make sure you're following us on all of those because you might get something cool. We have some pretty fun things planned for our app and Twitter coming up. So you don't want to miss out on that. And also tomorrow at 10:30 Eastern time in the morning, we'll have another TRW Lounge. So Matt is back from the show. Everyone's back from shows. We have a little bit of a break before our next one. So make sure you come in and sign up for the lounge. Think of whatever questions you want. I'm not sure if I will be in there. In case all of you didn't know, I am the marketing manager here at the Rhinestone World. So I do like to come in and answer some marketing questions for your business and how to use social media. But always come in, hang out with us. And as always, if you have any more questions or if you need help with anything, you feel free to call us at 941-755-1696, or you can email us at info@therhinestoneworld.com. So with that being said, I'm going to let you all go, and I hope all of you have a great day. We'll see you later.